Bethel for 26 years and started in the old building in July of 1988 and have been here ever since. Bethel has been a very big part in this community probably since its inception. One of the things that we've been known for is being a little bit progressive. Of course, Reverend Shuttlesworth was very instrumental in leading the community and the city's involvement in the civil rights movement. And so I think Reverend Shuttlesworth, as long as this church stands and as long as I'm here, will always be the sort of the pastor emeritus because of what he stood for, because of his blood that he put in here. I put a lot of sweat into this church, but I haven't put any blood. He put sweat and blood. As far as I know, this is the few places in the world, if not the only place in the world, it's been bombed as many times and has never suffered a loss of life. We've been bombed 3 times. We've never suffered a loss of life, thank God for that, nor have we ever missed a service. So there's a lot of history that is not known, and I think part of our process, the beginning of our process, has to be education. When we educate and then continue to preserve, I think that will be the contribution that we're supposed to make. Because of the bombings, because of the decay, there was a lot of work that was going to be needed on the old church. And so we had to decide, or we thought we had to decide, whether to build a new building or to put millions of dollars into the old building to try to bring it up to code. And what we did was decided, okay, we'll do both things. We'll build a new building so that it'd be more accessible for our people to get to church, and we'd have the classrooms we need and everything else we need. But we'll also try to preserve the historic church. Gotten together board of directors once we decided that we were going to restore the historic church. And the board of directors, outside board of directors, decided, Bethel has a great story and is not being told. And so naturally, when we had an executive director position, we were hoping that someone like her would actually apply. Her name is Bouyer. She's executive director of the historic Bethel Baptist Church Community Restoration Fund. She is the face of the historic Bethel, and I am very, very excited to have her on board.
I get to tell the story of regular, ordinary, everyday people who changed the state, a nation, and a world. And I do that by taking visitors to the historic Bethel Baptist Church and also to the parsonage where Reverend Shuttlesworth lived after the original parsonage was bombed on Christmas night in 1956. I try to make this history a reality and to make the people who made it, once again, ordinary citizens. And for me, that's important because a lot of times young people think that in order to make a difference, you've got to be rich or well-born or whatever. And I want young people to see that just who they are, the children who live around the corner, I want them to realize that within them, there's a hero or a heroine just waiting to be discovered, and that all they have to do is get involved in their community. But the children need to realize that this church does exist in their community and that they have ownership, and this sense of pride that comes from what came out of this working class community, I think is a powerful tool. The church has to belong to the community, and the community has to belong to the church. So this idea of the church being an open and welcoming space is very, very important. We've got to see ourselves as partners. We've got to build bridges, and I see that happening all the time.
Life, to me, has to be lived in balance. You have to remember where you came from, but you also have to remember where you're going. The old church is where we came from. This building is here to help us remember where we're going. That's why we have the Boy Scouts. That's why we have the Girl Scouts. That's why we have the Fine Arts Academy. That's why we are doing the outreach to the community. That's why we have the reading program. Because just remembering what happened and not doing anything about what's going on now, to me, is not God's holistic plan. And so this new building pushes us forward. The old building sort of keeps us grounded in what happened.